Fáilte go dtí ar dara seisiún anseo le Father Diarmuid ar an tair Diarmuid chuir na marrá. Agus tásúil an ghuiise go maith. And just to recap what we did the last time. Last time we spoke about the apostles and how they journeyed from being called dramatically by Jesus, from abandoning him, and from undergoing their own Pentecost, and how that changed their lives for the better, and that they were transformed and went out without fear.
So what we said was they were very scared. They weren't a great team. They were not a good team.
Flaky, I think.
They were a flaky team.
Yes.
And particularly after the fear and the anxiety of seeing their leader crucified, killed, they went and they hid. They went upstairs and they locked the doors and they hid. And we talked about Pentecost and this coming of the Spirit. We have a dove here, but in the form of tongues of fire, lifted them, opened their hearts, gave them courage and gave them confidence. So I think that's really what we're concentrating a little bit more on today.
And we were saying beforehand that, I was saying to Father Jim beforehand that it's all good and well talking about these individuals that are over 2,000 years old now, but how does that actually relate to you, to me and to Diarmuid in our lives every day? So I think that's what the focus of our video this time around is. And we've got a bit of help to try and, this is a hard thing to try and explain and to break it down, but we've got two individuals here. I've got a quote from Pope Francis, and Diarmuid has brought along his toolkit.
Yes.
So through the course of this next 10 minutes, hopefully we'll try and break it down into manageable chunks.
Yeah, I suppose we are very conscious that you're in 6th class. That's the end, coming to the end very quickly of your time in primary school, and you'll be launching out into the deep of secondary school, new beginnings, and you start saying, look, we know as well as you about COVID and about restrictions, and we're never sure about the months ahead, but we can be very sure about the years ahead, that you're coming to a very significant transition in your life, a move, a change in your life. And as you leave the things of childhood and take on the things of your teenage years and of your adult life, confirmation happens now. It didn't happen when you were 5. We're not going to wait until you're 25. Confirmation happens now because I think we feel as a church that this is the time you probably need that toolkit, that those abilities, those capacities more than any other time. You have two people to tell us about.
There you go. So I think we'll start off with, well, this is the person that you told me about that I'd never heard of before. So this is a boy who's now probably an adult now at this stage, called Musarraf, and he was from a show called Educating Yorkshire. And you might think to yourself, why are they showing us this? Like, how does that link to me?
I want to tell you that I was watching television one night and this just came up. And I have a tendency to flick. I keep flicking. I find it hard just to watch a thing from... And this Educating Yorkshire show, this clip really, really moved me. I think it's maybe better that you'd watch it on the clip, watch the clip yourself, and we'll give you a reference on the website. But I find it moving. I find it moving because my dad found it very difficult to speak. He had a problem with speaking, and he was particularly shy in big crowds and in front of people. So the first reason this boy really impressed me is he reminded me of what my dad must be like. But in the middle of this show, there's really, I'm even a bit moved now, there's really a miracle, because he had a most wonderful, wonderful, wonderful teacher who tried something. And watch the show.
What was his, not problem, but what was his setback, should I say?
His setback is that he found speaking, he had a problem with his speech. So in a crowd, he stopped. He got frightened and he found it impossible to put form onto words and to express himself. And I think it was his stomach rather than his tongue was the problem, in that he got frightened. And to me, we're talking about confirmation. His teacher gave him a way of overcoming his fear. And he went from being a frightened, I think slightly bullied boy, a boy who always kept quiet, kept his head down, didn't want anyone looking at him. He grew in confidence and in ability. And to me, that's what confirmation does. It gives you the tools to grow in confidence and ability, to take on what your teenage years have for you. Like Louise has a toolbox here. Confirmation gives you the tools, the capacity to take on all that's ahead. Now, that's a toolbox, but Louise, I always have surprises in my pocket.
Oh gosh,
This
like a
is
magician.
much fancier. This is my metaphor or my symbol for confirmation. It gives you everything you need to cope with your teenage life. It is a toolbox that has lots of things. And this particular one, which I can't
It's
seem
something
to
like
remember.
MacGyver would have had.
I like, well, MacGyver is a long time
Don't know
ago.
about MacGyver.
It has files, it has a knife, it has a scissors, it has a screwdriver, it has everything I would need. I always have this in the car. So, this is my favorite because it's a little scissors. I always have this in the car. When I'm in trouble or if something happens or if I need something, I always have this handy. I think confirmation gives you the things that you need handy in your life. Courage, confidence, optimism, hope. It gives you faith, a belief that you're not on your own, a knowledge that Jesus is always with you, a knowledge that no matter what you face or no matter what you encounter, you can have the courage of your convictions. You can stand up and stand out and stand apart and know, and Louise, I love that picture, you don't have to swim with the tide and do everything that you're told to do on Facebook or on Instagram or on Snapchat, to do everything you're told on TV or to everything that you're told by your peers or by the media or by the culture, that you can actually stand apart and be yourself. We don't want you to turn into somebody else. We want you to be the best possible version of you. And confirmation gives you the set of tools, the gifts, the graces, the talents, the abilities, the spirit to do that. Now, I love, and the reason I'm not talking about him is because if I were to start talking, I have an hour on this boy because he's much younger than me, but he's one of the great heroes of my life. You have a hero too.
But also I should say that we're going to put up a video of
Yes.
Musra so that you can actually watch it in full and...
And you're doing me a big favour if you watch that video, because I know then that you have the same experience as I've had. But you have a hero too.
I do. So perhaps someone that you probably don't know of. We spoke about it actually for our first communion preparation as well. His name is Carlo Acutis, and he was an Italian, or is an Italian should I say, and he lived a short life just until he was 15 years old. And I think he's a great example for not just you as young people, but I think for all of us to follow that. Someone who passed away only in 2006, so someone in our time that is called blessed, that he is on the road to sainthood and he has one more step to take before he will be a saint. But you might think, why is a young lad been considered for so high a title? In his short life, he lived, I suppose he let his faith transform him, and he let Jesus get into his boat and to take charge. He showed such a devotion throughout his life that he attended mass every day, he said the rosary. He did all these things. He went out and helped out in homeless shelters. But more than that, by the example he left, people were captured by him and are still captured by him and have seen him as a guide and a role model that we can use the gifts that he blessed us and bring them into our own lives. He was confirmed when he was 11, so a little bit younger than you, but he also made his first communion when he was younger at 7, because he was considered so well prepared and so knowledgeable that the parish priest thought, bring him on. Exactly. So again, I will put up a little animation of his life just to give you a bit more background. And I think for us, it's someone in our time that we can see the potential of what our faith can do in our lives.
And I suppose the thing about Carlo as well is how young he is.
Yeah.
There's an impression that you have to be old to be good, or you have to be old to be a saint, or you have to be, that religion is for old people. But I see, Louise, and we haven't prepared this, but I see you're also wearing a necklace.
Yes.
Who's
My
on
other
your
hero.
necklace? Your other hero.
Yeah.
Because we spoke about Carlo, but there's a young woman in your life too.
That's it. So you probably know the story of Lourdes, and this is Saint Bernadette, the girl that on the 11th of February 1858 saw Our Lady, and saw Our Lady 18 times in Lourdes. And she is important to me because she was a person of great courage, that she was such a young age and she had to take on the opposition of church, of people in her community and even her own family, to say that I saw Our Lady and this is what she wants. And she fought and she fought and she fought, and she didn't let the glory get to her. She was always, it's all about Our Lady, it's not me. And she joined a convent in Nevers, which was, you couldn't get into it, you know, besides having these church
So she
leaders.
could have been famous, she could have been
She
the
could have had the
centre
glory, yeah.
of thousands of people, she could have
She
been
refused
an
money.
influencer.
Yeah, she refused money. She wouldn't let her parents take anything.
Yes.
They were so poor. They lived in a jail, that she was so grounded in her faith that it gave her such a concrete foundation that she could live her life and be strong in her own beliefs.
So what we're saying is that, Louise, that the young people of Oranmore and of Mary have the capacity to be wonderful.
Exactly.
They have the capacity to grow into being the best possible version of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They have the capacity to swim against the crowd. They have the capacity, because they're unique, to develop their own talents and their abilities. And they have a huge capacity to contribute to the work of God in the church, to the work of God in the world, that they can cooperate and become forces for good and for truth and for light and for hope. And that in confirmation they get the gifts, the spirit, the toolbox to do that.
To go out like the apostles did at Pentecost.
Very good, that made sense.
There you go. So we hope that you've enjoyed these few sessions to help you prepare, and please God that you'll also see us in person as well before you make your confirmation. And you will know that there's always something to do. So for our session, and you'll see this, it's online as well, and it's also going to be left in the church. I have a reflection sheet, and I might actually bring it nearer. And this is a chance for you to take the time to sit back and realise, you know,
A little bit farther away.
Really?
Yeah, there you go.
so some questions for you to think about and answer about. Life is so busy, and it's very hard for us to take some quiet time and to think about and reflect. So this is an opportunity for you to put it into words. And I know that Jeremy always says that it's easier to write in words rather than thinking
Well,
thoughts.
that's me. I find it easier if I'm writing. It's as if it comes from somewhere different than from when I'm speaking, and I write much better than I speak. When I speak, I'm all over the place. When I write, it clears my mind and clears my thoughts.
There you go. So look at, stay well, and please God, we will see you soon. And Father Jeremy, pass the
And
word.
to Gaelscoil the Hija, to Scoil Joseph Nefa, to Scoil Muira, and to Mary National School, thank you in this most unusual year for helping us help you to prepare for confirmation. When the day comes, we'll do right by you. When the day comes, we will have a proper and full celebration. We're looking forward to the coming of the Spirit, and we're also looking forward to you growing in wisdom, age and grace throughout your teenage years, becoming the very best possible version of yourself. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. God bless you, and thanks, Louise.
Yeah.